All right, so 100 days of the Lion Diet, week number 3, officially in the books. What happened this week? Well, I got the crazy inclination to do a 72-hour hard dry fast. Don't know where that came from. I've never done one before. I've dry fasted just kind of coincidentally in the past, but never with intention. And just one night, I believe it was a Friday evening or Saturday evening, I got the calling to, hey, starting tonight, when you finish this last bit of water at roughly 20:30 Eastern, 72 hours minimum, hard dry fast. So no water, no food, no exposure to water, no touching of water on the skin, no brushing teeth, no shower, nothing. Zero contact with water for 72 hours. Why? I can't tell you. I cannot explain where the inspiration came from. I cannot tell you what exactly came over me and told me to do that. But I can say this. The reason I subject myself to things like a 100-day lion diet or a strict carnivore 66 days OMAD, 1 meal a day, or being a vegan for 14 months or being a vegetarian for over a year, or anything that I can kind of test my gumption with in regards to discomfort, uncertainty, doubt, just a little bit of resistance, suffering. There's always some kind of enlightenment to be found within that, either within me or something from the outside that I realize that I couldn't see before. And so it's me calling it the desert, the proverbial desert. So when I'm in the desert, like I'm in right now with this lion diet, because don't get me wrong, I've tried a lot of diets and I've been successful with many of them. I've failed with many of them. I've learned from all of them. But with this one, this has by far been the most mystifying and continuing to humble me as it goes along. And so while I'm in the desert, I found this calling or this inspiration, and the inspiration was to do this 72-hour hard dry fast. So I went after it. And yeah, the beginning of it was pretty easy, to be honest. It was simple. I felt great the first day. I felt a little less great the second day. Towards the end of the second day, it was kind of, but by the end of the third day, I was like, wow, this sucks. And I talk about that in another video, so be sure to check that out for the in-depth story. But really what I want to say about this and what I found this week with the Lion Diet was that elevated bit of consciousness, that unlocking of something that was embedded within my mind that maybe I couldn't see without the diet. I don't know. Maybe I couldn't hear it. I couldn't believe it without the diet. I don't know. But by removing all these other things, distractions, right? Variables in the form of sugar for sure, carbohydrates, these impurities that can hinder our ability to think, our ability to be creative. And for me, the more I strip down, the more I'm able to find like uniqueness and my own creativity, my own individuality. I know it sounds crazy to think like, wow, a diet can do that. It's not just the diet. It's me, it's you, it's us, it's our magic of being human. We all have this ability to heal, to make, to generate, to endure, to do these amazing things. That's the power of the human body. It's the most amazing machine ever created, but it's also the most fragile. It needs to be taken care of, but when it's properly cared for, especially with the proper nourishment, it's amazing what the body's able to do through self-healing, again, through creation, generation, magnetism. And so that's what I found this past week was, yeah, this 72-hour hard dry fast calling. Not what I've envisioned, and certainly not what I saw at the end of the previous week, the second week, as like, oh, what's upcoming this week? I don't know. I was still having trouble getting full from my meals, that's for sure. And a big part of that is, when you're eating carbohydrates, it's very easy to get a serious sense of fullness because of the expansion that's taking place within your stomach and throughout your tract, your GI tract. Whereas with meat and just pure flesh, because it's so comparable to what we are, our own makeup, the processing efficiency of it is greatly accelerated. I know people are saying like, yeah, like carbohydrates are much more fast acting. They may be more fast acting, but as far as in how easily broken down a lot of this meat can be because of the lack of anything other, is pretty substantial, and it definitely is for me. So for me to really get like uncomfortably full, I have to eat, from what I found this past week, like pounds, like 5, 6 pounds of meat in a day. Couldn't believe it. So big takeaway from this past week was that 1 meal a day lion diet is very difficult for me right now, very difficult. So what I've started to implement now is just a strategy of a 4-hour eating window. First meal roughly around noon, second meal just before 4 p.m. And that way I'm kind of not getting so full and then feeling, hunger later, but rather just being satisfied and satiated and then getting a nice complementary or supplemental meal a little while after. And that seems to be working well. So we'll see. But otherwise, yeah, this is 3 weeks down in the 100 days. So we're almost at that quarter of the way mark, but just constantly learning, again, constantly being humbled, continue to get humbled by the diet. But that's why I do this, because to me it's all about learning and finding out that as much as I thought I knew before or yesterday, like it takes nothing but just a split second to realize, man, I don't know shit. So that's where we are.